It is week 11 of the 2022 NFL season and a big one for sure. Let's make our confidence picks right now. Well. Welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watu-K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. Now, as far as last week goes, it was a very strange week. A lot of players did not do very well. There were a lot of games that tripped some players up. I think Bills and Vikings was chief among them. You know, there's a reason I gave that game only one point, because I felt it was a complete toss-up, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. But I did get some big games wrong. I never thought Philadelphia would lose to Washington, and they did. But when all the results were tallied, I came in with an 8-6 record, picking those games straight up, 60 points out of a possible 105, which may not sound too great on the surface. Now, for the season, we are 93 up and 56 down. We have 740 points accumulated, good enough for the 94 percentile bracket. Going into last week, we were at 91.9. So despite going just 8-6, we actually moved up to 94%. That is the highest percentile we have been in all season. So it has been a steady increase. Let's see how high this can go. All right, so let's talk about the 2022 season, NFL Week 11. Again, if you haven't watched this before, we don't pick against the spreads. We pick winners straight up, and then we rank every game from, in this case, there's 14 games, so we're going to go from 14 points down to 1 point. 14 points is the game that we have the most confidence in. What is the game we have the least confidence in? And you can use every number only once, and I do this on the ESPN website. All right, so my number 14 game, this is the game I've got the most confidence in. I am going to go with the Carolina Panthers at the Baltimore Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens all day long in this game. Baker Mayfield, hey, how you been, Baker? Welcome back. Allow the Ravens to reintroduce themselves. You remember that team that whipped up on you for a couple of years while you were still in Cleveland doing State Farm commercials? I know you do. The Ravens are coming off a bye week, and they're at home. Now, granted, with the Ravens, all 4 of their home games have been decided by 4 points or less. I don't care. The Ravens are going to cruise to victory against the Panthers. My number 13 game, we're going to go to Monday night in Mexico City. You know, Mexico mayhem on Monday night. It's the San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals. By the way, if the game's in Mexico, would that technically make it a home game for Arizona? I'm not sure how that would work. But anyway, the loss of Zach Ertz is really going to hurt their offense, whether they have Kyler Murray or not. And as of I'm recording this, it's kind of 50-50 from what we're hearing. But I'm just on the Niners bandwagon right now. I think it's all coming together for them. Their running game is working. Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are emerging as a legitimate 1-2 punch at wide receiver. Samuel does not have to do all the work himself. Give me the Niners. My number 12, all right, this is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles at the Indianapolis Colts. You know what? I'm picking the Eagles, but I got a question. Is it possible to have a get-right game after you won 8 in a row and then just lost 1? So I don't know if the Eagles could actually be in a position where they need a get-right game. I don't know. I guess Philly must have overlooked Washington getting ready for the big showdown against Coach Jeff Saturday. It's the only conclusion I could come to. Now, I'll be serious. The Dallas Goedert injury is a big loss for Philadelphia. But I think the Eagles are still going to get back on track because, you know what? I'm not bold enough to take Indianapolis to win 2 straight games. Number 11, I'm going to go with the Washington Commercials against the Houston Texans in Houston. I'm taking Washington to win this game. Now, I really love the Washington defense against Davis Mills, first of all. That's number 1, and that's without Chase Young, who is on his way back. But I think what's really going to make the difference is the Washington running game against a putrid Houston run defense. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson are going to have holes like Mack trucks they could just plow right through. My one concern, if I had to say, is the letdown factor for Washington coming off a short week with an emotional victory against a division rival. May not be the best spot for them, but I think Ron Rivera will have Washington ready against one of the league's bottom feeders. Number 10, we've got an AFC West showdown. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego, California. I'm taking Kansas City. The Chiefs have scored 40 or more points in 3 of their 4 road games. They've won 8 straight on the road against the Chargers, regardless of what California city they're calling home. The Chargers are still very banged up, and to me, they just have not proven that they can win the big games against teams like this. They have talent, but they also have injuries, and to me, there's that mental block where they just can't seem to get over the hill. Justin Herbert, he's second in the league in pass attempts, but he's only 14th in completion percentage. And as far as we know, no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams. It's not going to get any better against Kansas City. All right, so give me the Chiefs against the Chargers. Now let's go to the single digits. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm taking Cincinnati. You know what? The Steelers are 11-1 when TJ Watt plays, and now he's facing the Bengals O-line. I think the game will be somewhat competitive, but you know what? I love Joe Mixon's hot streak. He's got some extra rest going after the bye. Cincinnati has not yet won a game in the AFC North, and they're looking for revenge week 1. In that game, Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati in overtime, and it was fueled by 5 Joe Burrow turnovers. The same thing is not happening this week. Also, Cincinnati has a very, very tough schedule coming up. I think this is a game they really have to have if they're going to be serious playoff contenders. So give me the Bengals. Number 8, the Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. I'm taking the Broncos. I really think they should add a pro wrestling element to this game. How about the head coach that loses the game gets fired? Are there 2 hotter seats in football right now than Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels? I don't think it gets any worse, and I don't know how you can pick the Raiders to win a game anymore. I don't know how you can. I don't know of a team that has underachieved more, and the Broncos do have an elite defense. They have held every opponent they faced just this year to 18 points or less. I think Brandon McManus kicks 3 or 4 field goals. It'd be like a 12-10 final, something like that. Number 7, we're going to go Thursday night. The Tennessee Titans at the Green Bay Packers at soon-to-be frozen Lambeau Field. It's Derrick Henry against the 26th ranked Packers run defense. That is a scary thought. Green Bay allows 140 rushing yards per game. Ryan Tannehill is back on the field for his second week quarterbacking the Titans. I know it's a tough turnaround going to Green Bay on a short week. I think that Tennessee is a terrible matchup for Green Bay. Titans win. Number 6, the Bears at the Falcons. I'm going to take Chicago to snap their 3-game losing streak. Now, the Bears have averaged 31 points in their last 4 games. But for all the Justin Fields hype, the bottom line is they keep losing 3 in a row and 4 or 5 thanks to a bad defense. I think it ends this week. I don't think the Falcons defense is equipped to stop Justin Fields and David Montgomery running the football. Fields' playmaking ability will ultimately win the game. All right, number 5. This is a game that I've changed my mind on a couple of times. The Cleveland Browns now versus the Buffalo Bills in Detroit, Michigan. I got to say, I was actually thinking Cleveland might have a chance to pull off the upset. In a snow-covered field with a running game as good as Cleveland has, I had a feeling Cleveland might stay in it. Right now, I'm not feeling that as much anymore. I like Chubb and Hunt, and the Bills' run defense is not doing very well. They're allowing 163 rushing yards per game in their last 3, but the Browns' defense just stinks completely right now. Run, defense, penalties, you name it. I'm taking the Bills to snap the 2-game losing streak. Number 4. Okay, here we go. This is the game. AFC Showdown. We know what it's all about. The New York Jets going to Gillette Stadium to Foxborough, Massachusetts, where they'll pack the car and take on the Patriots. The Jets have not beaten the Patriots, I'll say it again, in regulation since 2010. That streak ends. Every expert that I see is picking New England to win this game. The only one that I've seen, I think, is Greg Rosenthal on NFL.com, who's picked the Jets. And the same reasons are what I always see. Well, Zach Wilson, he wasn't very good last time, so he's not going to do any better. And New England's the more desperate team. They got the toughest schedule. They're a game down. They got Bill Belichick, so the Patriots got to beat the Jets. Jets can't beat the Patriots. There's no way. Well, answer me this. What makes Mac Jones so good exactly? Did I miss something? What makes him so great? Him of, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. What makes him above reproach? I don't understand what that's all about. I think it's going to be a defense-dominated game, but you know what? I think that the Jets do to Mac what the Patriots did to Zach. Turnovers, uncertainty, and confusion. This Jets defense is rolling right now, and the Jets are going to ride this defense to a slim victory and first place in the AFC East. Give me the Jets. Number 3, Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings. You know what? I'm taking Dallas. I respect Minnesota. I don't trust them yet. I think the Vikings are due for a letdown after exhausting themselves. It took everything they had to beat Buffalo in that last game. People talk about Kirk Cousins struggling in prime time. Well, I got another number for you. Kirk Cousins is 2-8 lifetime against the Dallas Cowboys. And you know what? The Cowboys defense, they're getting after opposing quarterbacks. They're leading the NFL in sacks, 35 sacks in 10 weeks. I just think Dallas is a more well-rounded team. As much respect as I have for Justin Jefferson, Dallas is deeper. That makes the difference. Cowboys win. Number 2, okay, the Detroit Lions at the New York Football Giants. I'm taking the Lions to pull off an upset. It's a possible trap for the G-men. I think this game screams shootout. And I think Detroit is more suited to win that kind of a game. I like the Detroit passing offense more than I do the Giants passing offense. And, the Detroit defense, they're getting a little bit better. But one thing that they don't have to worry about is the Giants wide receivers as much, because the corners are where Detroit is weakest, and the Giants don't exactly have a formidable wide receiver core to deal with. Saquon Barkley will get his yards, but I just like Detroit to make the plays that they need to make. Close call, though. And finally, my number 1 game. I think this is a game that's hardest to get a feel on as much as anyone right now. The LA Rams against the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome. I'm taking the Saints, but if I could, I'd predict the tie. Serious question. Coach Dennis Allen, why is Andy Dalton still your starting quarterback? What does he do anymore? I'm just very down on the Rams right now. Losing Cooper Kupp to me is going to devastate their offense. It also devastates my fantasy team. But here's the thing. The Saints have averaged 11.5 points in back-to-back losses. They've lost 4 of 5, but I think they're in a better place mentally than the Rams are. Losing Kupp, as I said, is going to devastate them. The Rams' defense has been as underachieving as any defense, I think, in football this year. And even if Matthew Stafford does come back, which he is expected to do, the offensive line is still an absolute train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck. I think New Orleans just takes this game. Not confident about it, but I just think there's too many signs pointing to New Orleans. So those are my picks. I want to hear your picks. Do you have any games that you feel strongly one way or another? Anything where you agree with me, disagree with me? Any points you'd like to add that maybe I didn't mention in these games? I look forward to your feedback. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.